Good morning. I am so excited to be talking with Dr. Divya Jatli this morning. Divya and I go back several years, actually, probably longer. It's getting to be a long time now. Um, Divya is a woman who has broken the glass ceiling in a lot of ways. She is a first woman for a lot of things. But she is now a first woman with Diakonos Solutions for two distinct reasons. 3 years ago, in 2022, when we were growing our doctoral scholarship program, uh, a business decided to sponsor a scholarship in Divya's honor, and she was the first person that a scholarship was named for. And 3 years later, Divya contacted me as our scholarship program continues to grow, and continues to reach women in different places all over our country. She reached out and said, I would like to support this as well. And so Divya is now our first international ally for Diakonos Solutions and doctoral scholarships. And I wanted to bring her on today. I wanted us to have a conversation because Divya is a businesswoman. She's an entrepreneur. She has two companies that she currently manages and runs, but she also, in conversations, and she rarely shares this unless you really get to spend some time with her. She also is involved with an NGO, a nonprofit in India that her aunt started called Vividha. And in English, it means distinct. And it is specifically for women's empowerment. And so I wanted to bring Divya on today so that we could talk about that. She could share a little bit more about that and how her work in India and our work in the United States closes the gap for women. So, good morning, Divya. It's morning here. It's almost evening in India.
Evening. Yes, yes. Good evening, Susan, and good morning to you. And thank you so much for such a grand and generous introduction. It's truly my privilege to be with you once again at this platform and have interesting conversation. We always have such conversations full of learning, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Vividha. Maybe you were telling me before we started, it's almost a mistake to have the pre-conversation before the recording starts because sometimes it's so rich. But how did you get involved, and what is the NGO about and its purpose, and some of the impact that it makes?
Sure, sure. Thank you for showing interest in what I do in the on the philanthropic side of my life and personality, Susan. The work of Vividha touches many women's lives in the most fundamental way. So we are restoring dignity, confidence, the belief that they have the power to shape their own future. And I think the biggest defeat that probably in the lowest phase of my life I've gone through as well is a lack of self worth. I think that's where the whole self confidence, shattering begins. And it's very important to restore that or keep it intact. So our impact at Vividha begins where change is needed most, which is at the grassroots level, at the fundamental level of being a woman in many marginalized and rural communities, especially in India, we are a developing country, women are often denied access to education, financial opportunity, or even the awareness of their basic rights and duties. What does the Constitution allow them? How they can represent with the local authorities or the state government? What they can do to approach if they've been wronged? So Vividha steps into these spaces to bridge those gaps with compassion and consistency. We focus very strongly on girl child education. They say educate a man, you'll only educate a man. But if you educate a woman, you'll end up educating the whole family.
Yeah.
So that transformation, that upliftment of the entire family culture, eventually the community around her, that empowers the girl, I think, to dream bigger, to make informed choices, to stand tall in the world that very often underestimates all of us. And I remember one of our conversations behind the scenes where we were talking about women rights, self-worth, and you mentioned that it's probably a lot of those women go through even in developed country like yours. We think sitting in India that women's plight are much better in the United States of America, but I think in pockets, women are going through the same emotional struggles and Vividha is helping women to understand their rights and duties, to participate more confidently in a social, economic, and a civic framework. And I truly believe that awareness is the very first step towards self reliance. Even when I'm doing my leadership coaching in the business world, I always say leadership begins intrinsically.
Mhm.
It's a myth that we all want to be leaders of teams, right? But
Yep.
how do you lead yourself? And that impact that Vividha is creating is not just visible in numbers, Susan. It is reflected in transformation on from about many, many lives that we are touching, the ripple effect of empowerment that we are trying to create, and to help women rewrite their story and reclaim their voice.
That is one of the things that, going back to one of our previous conversations, that I had written down in my notes that uh, that distinct vivida impacts generationally. That once you educate a woman, it's a generational impact and it impacts their entire community. And that's one of the things that I've seen with the doctoral scholarships. The women who are pursuing their doctorates, that the applications that we see, their their projects, their dreams, their research is about impacting not just their own church or religious institution, it's about impacting the community. And
Right.
so we very much see that empowering women has that ripple effect, and absolutely the generational impact. Many women are are calling the church, because my work is in ministry and church work, but calling
Right.
the church to account for staying silent on issues that affect women and families. We've offered this year, we offered another scholarship to a woman who is asking the church to speak out on domestic violence. And a former scholarship recipient just published a book on the same subject. And so it's, how do we break these generational um, cycles? And so I think we do, we cross over there in interesting ways, even though you're right, we're across the globe in different contexts, and yet some of the issues are the same. What is what of all the things that you do with Vivita, what are you most passionate about when you're working with um, the NGO?
I love to witness a journey where a potential that you see with your vision can really turn into a possibility. So I personally, have 22 girl child through Vividha that I have sponsored and I have vowed that I will see them through their education. And every time I meet them, they are growing up to be beautiful young women, confident women, who opinionated women, who have a say and thoughts about everything almost in India, in our country, about the education system, about the governance. And that voice which I hear, that confident voice which comes to me, that reaffirms my belief that empowerment is not really about giving power, it's about enabling it. And I think, Susan, you've known me for a while now. Even in my business, I like to play the role of an enabler. And that's how I've been even towards my NGO. So we have a great team at Vividha whom we call Sathin. And thanks to my aunt, my dad's sister, that I got an insight into an NGO at a very young age. And I remember the time when the first time when I earned my, my salary, I bought some gift for my mother, a sari, and I saved some money. And I also saved a section of it to invest and give back to the community for girl child. So I think I've also inherited giving back to the community. And I was lucky enough to have been associated through way of family with an NGO which doesn't believe in just marketing collaterals and take the donation and just take it away. A lot of NGOs in India are existing like that as well, who are probably making a lot of money. So we are what I like to call these ladies. These are all senior citizens now, who are the heads at Vividha, and there's so much to learn from them because they are activists.
Mhm.
And there have been many, countrywide, I would say, which shook the country, rape cases
Mhm.
where Vividha has played a huge role in actually altering and contributing with, of course, their NGO community in changing certain, laws in the benefit of a rape victim. And that I feel is what really gives me a lot of satisfaction. That even if it's a small drop in a bucket or small drop in an ocean, but we are making a difference. Women are feeling safer every time they come to us. If they are too scared to go to a police station to file a complaint because it's largely patriarchal, we may ensure that, okay, in few police stations, we can put counseling desks there where women feel comfortable to come and report to the woman, and we can advise them that, okay, these are the laws that can support you. And I think we need more and more initiative in this space. So when I learned about all of these things that we are doing, which for me is true empowerment as an enabler, I felt it was just my calling. And I stepped in, and we continue to, drive these initiatives. We continue to build these ecosystems, and that keeps me inspired also, I think, to lead change.
All right. So, what inspired you to close the gap by supporting Diakonos Solutions and some of our goals, especially surrounding supporting women in education?
So, interestingly, in India, I have seen how many capable women hesitate to take the next academic or professional leave. In fact, in
Mhm.
the corporate boardrooms right now, the biggest discussion is that where are the women in the top hierarchy in the management teams? Because they take a break in their careers for the sake of the family. And then their second careers never really take off on the runway. They are subjected to a lot of practices which are not inclusive at all by the HR and the recruitment agencies. So my message to them has been that through Vividha, your expertise matters, your perspective is needed. And when I heard about an opportunity through Diakonos Solutions in the US, where we are also trying to support women in higher education, which I'm already trying to, pursue people that please educate women, let them reach the boardrooms, let them come higher, and education is the key. That's when I got to know that you are doing a similar initiative. That really propelled me. And as you know that I've been a model in my country, I've been a Miss India finalist in my country, and I have personally had to break a lot of unconscious biases when became an entrepreneur because my Miss India finalist title always preceded my intelligence, where people viewed me with the perception that, oh my God, she's just beauty and no brains. And I had to work harder, and therefore I achieved my doctorate out of vengeance. that, okay, instead of the Miss India title preceding my name, I'll have a doctorate preceding my name, and then let's see if people listen to me or not. And it's interesting that the moment they see a Dr. Divya walking into a boardroom, they want to hear what I have to say, versus a Miss India finalist, model, media personality walking into a boardroom. And that, I think, is a very big unconscious bias, the beauty bias.
Yeah.
And what
Mm.
I've learned through you that, women are struggling across the world, even in the United States. And I was doing some research where a lot of ladies don't reach the higher doctorate level
Mhm.
education. And
Mhm.
if I can support that across the miles in the United States, which you gave me the opportunity, I just grabbed it. And that inspired me truly. And thank you for trusting me. I mean, across the world, you have so many leaders, inspirational ladies in your country as well. But the fact that you stretched out a hand and, we wanted to make a difference in developed and developing countries simultaneously, that just gave me a lot of inspiration and motivation.
No, thank you. It truly was an honor. And I just to echo what you say, I tell women in ministry leadership that a doctorate elevates their voice and their visibility, that it allows them the credentials, even though they had the experience prior to achieving the doctorate. They had that experience, they had that expertise, but the doctorate allows their voice to be heard in a way that their voice was not going to be heard previously. And I think it's interesting the universality of that experience, that you had that experience as well, even though you're in the business world. It's still, there's still something about that credential that opens the ears, right? So
I agree. I agree. And imagine if you and I have to face such barriers, what happens to the women who are uneducated and unaware?
absolutely, absolutely. All right, so one last aspirational question. So, if you could close the gap for women in whatever way, uh, how would you envision that? What would that look like for you?
Um, well, closing the gap for me, firstly, I would break the myth that it cannot be a goal. It is
Mm,
a movement. And I think women like you and me, Susan, we are already like, we are aligning together. We are holding hands of each other. We're trying to bring momentum to this movement with Diakonos in the US and Vividha in India. And I think this movement should be towards achieving a shared humanity,
mm,
respect for women in every way. It's about creating a world where women don't have to fight for a seat at the table or fight for space. And I'm facing that even today after 25 years of experience, whether it's a boardroom or whether it's a philanthropic pitch, there's always a more of a pitch that a woman has to do compared to her male counterparts or narratives for progress. So I think we can shift or we can bridge the gap by shifting the lens. Right now, we all are seeing, the world through the lens of our conditioning, our biases, our culture. And rather than seeing women as beneficiaries of empowerment, to recognizing them as partners in growth.
mm,
And I also don't like, that some women step up and they say, oh, we'll do charity. Don't do charity. Don't donate. Truly believe. I mean, the journey doesn't end there. If you want to invest in somebody's growth, become a partner.
mm,
And that's why I reached out to you that even at Vividha, my NGO, when I invest in somebody's growth, I'm not talking about, that take the money and I have enough and all of that. I just want to say that, hey, would you like me as a partner for you to flourish? And God has blessed me, but I'm looking for a partner. How can I be your enabler? So I think beyond the workplace, I see the closing gap as, igniting huge possibility. investing in women's education, entrepreneurship, their self-worth, self-belief, and giving them a seat at the table for sure, any table, anywhere across the industries. And not only where women, rise despite the system, I think we have to change that narrative, but one where they rise because of it.
Mm.
So we need to really create a system, an ecosystem for that growth. And I think you and I, we are playing a little bit part there. But we need more men and women to join hands where this shouldn't be a struggle. The struggle should be some other things.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that is beautiful. Thank you. Well,
Thank you.
thank you for your time today. And I am going to, I will offer ways to connect with Vividha on their Facebook page and also ways to connect with Dr. Divya through her LinkedIn profile and Instagram. And if you are interested in supporting Vividha, please let me know and we will make sure um, that we connect the Diakonos community with Vividha in whatever ways we can. Dr. Divya, it is always a pleasure to have a conversation with you. It is always a pleasure to hear your wisdom and be able to share it with our community. So thank you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, Susan. And I really look forward to engaging more with your, community at Diakonos Solutions. And I look forward to seeing Diakonos Solutions grow much bigger globally so that we can all enable women across the world together.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.